YouTubers. It's on my timeline.
On your timeline? All right.
That way we can
there it is.
see it. So, Facebook and blah, blah, blah. The camera's going, and then ladles and jelly spoons. Welcome to Truth, Love, and Peace, episode number 50. Ba-boom! Back for round 2. Mr. Owen Finley. We are not expecting any grocery deliveries this evening.
Not this late.
But I love the Super Saiyan shirt. That's awesome. And thank you so much for joining me again.
Absolutely.
The episode that we recorded last time, I just posted that today. Just went up. So I didn't mention the round 2, but it worked out perfectly that we're here today. So people are going to be really confused with 2 Facebook Live videos and all the other stuff. But that's perfectly fine. Because last time was a comedy of errors. Before I jinx myself, I'm going to make sure all this shit's working. But for those of you that have been caught up, I just was not in... Ooh, I was scatterbrained. I was missing some fucking screws and bolts. Some nuts, the whole 9 yards. It was craziness. And that caused us to end up cutting the whole thing short. Because I was just not with it mentally. But you looking at that chicken... that became the still shot. That was one of the best things. And so we mostly talked about music because we only sat down for like a half hour for that last episode. We didn't delve into a bunch of fabulous stuff. But since we are sitting in the midst of it, we sat in the midst of it on purpose, and that is what's left of rehearsals today.
Yes.
So. Tell us all about, for those of you who haven't caught it on the podcast yet.
Well, Friday night at the Brickyard.
June 29th.
Be an Allman Brothers tribute. New band called Stand Back. And it's John Milham on the drums, Lee Yankee and John Hart on guitar and singing, me on bass and Adam Cooper on organ and all other keys. And also Jamal Watson on drums. Can't have Allman Brothers without 2 drummers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all got together today to run through the songs for the first time, and I was excited already. Now I'm really excited. Hearing it all together, everyone's done their homework. It's gonna be good. We're getting ready for everything's up because we're rehearsing tomorrow morning, which is unheard of. Morning rehearsal. Rehearsal as it is unheard of. Morning rehearsal.
This is serious business.
Yes, it is.
This is Allman Brothers.
Yes, but Brickyard. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, not sure. One of those times is when we'll be starting.
Get there at 9, not 10.
At 9.
And that's Friday, June 29th.
Precisely.
For everyone marking calendars, please mark it accordingly. Fucking awesome. So, is there anything else you want to talk about music-wise before we delve into right where we... The question I was going to ask before we left off is jumping right into the philosophy side of it. And we had talked a little bit about the Batman nickname and how that's kind of carried through the community. But that leads to the bigger question of how do you always have that smile? You know, how is it that you are always in such a good mood? And what do you think about to be in a great mood all the time? I know that's not the best way to word that question, but...
I mean, I try to be in a great mood all the time.
And you're well known for that, and it's fucking awesome.
Well,
so we pay you a compliment first off, because your attitude and just the way that you approach everything and being around you is fucking awesome. And you always have great energy to go along with fucking badass bass licks. So that's something that a lot of people compliment you for not only being an incredible musician, but being a really cool mellow dude to hang out with. How do you, aside from being a Super Saiyan...
Yeah. Or one day I'll be a Super Saiyan. Man, first of all, I love what I do.
Yeah.
Part of it is not being around people that get on your nerves. I mean, I got a lot of people that I really enjoy being around. And then really the other side is just, people got so much going on in their lives. It's like they don't want to hear they're looking to be brought up,
Mm-hmm.
So if something's bothering me, I don't want to bring anybody else down with it. I just kind of,
Good on you.
Try to let everybody see the, be the, I want to be the person that brightens someone else's day up, not, be the other way around. I don't want to be a bummer.
That's awesome.
But, yeah.
That's a good lesson. I should do more of that.
Sometimes you gotta vent, but
Boy.
But sometimes, no one wants to hear bitching. It's just,
That's awesome. Well, it definitely shows in your playing because you're very laid back and relaxed, and that's an awesome attitude to have. Does that come from the music side of your brain, or have you always been that way?
What, being
super chill?
I mean,
and always having that smile blasting on your face.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know how I used to be, really.
That's fair.
I don't know if it's connected, really. Like, the whole being positive and then music. Like, when I'm playing music, 90% of the time I'm enjoying it,
Sure.
It's what I'm here to do. It's what I love doing more than anything.
Hell yeah.
I guess that does carry over. I mean, it's what I get to do all the time, so why wouldn't I be happy?
Yeah, and I think, being in the moment and being surrounded, like when we were talking about playing with Big Jam Space Drivers and how much that's about fun. Like the Allman Brothers Project,
mm-hmm.
As serious a business as it is, it's serious because it's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very cool. I'm stoked, man. I kind of hate that I wasn't here earlier for rehearsals.
Uh-huh.
I can hear it bouncing around in this room, and I wish I'd been here live. That's fucking awesome. So what else has been going on with you? It's been like a week or so since we sat down. You made it out to...
out to Denver.
Yes. Tell us about that little soiree.
That, I'll tell you what I can.
Even better.
Even better. Yeah, we got there, really no problem. Our flight was delayed a little bit, but we got into Colorado maybe about 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. We got to Colorado Springs where we were staying at 3:30. We're up at 9, out the door at like 10 or 11. Got as much in as we could. We drove up to the place and called Levitt Pavilion, and it's this huge amphitheater. Like, I can show you pictures of it, and everybody we talked to from Denver that, they're like, yeah, we're playing this show out at Levitt Pavilion. They're like, we've never heard of that place. It's beautiful there, and nobody really knew what we were talking about. But we got there, everybody was super nice. All the staff and anything we needed, they were there for it. There for that and more. The show went really well, especially considering how, we're all so busy. We could barely, we got in the rehearsing we could, which wasn't enough, and we made do, for sure. But yeah, we were kind of stressed getting back to the airport to make our flight, because there's only a little bit of time between. There was an hour drive to the airport from where we were, and when there's only a little bit of time to final note, breaking down, getting our stuff and getting out of there. And we were very tired by the end of the day, and so it was being in Denver, it was a trip getting back to the airport on time. But we made it. It was awesome.
That's great.
Man. I wish I could go there all the time.
I'm surprised I just didn't bail on a ticket and be like, we'll catch the next one.
We had to gig, had to get back. But man, I would have.
Being there all the time, what'd you like about it? I need to make it out there. I need to go check it out.
Man, I lived an hour outside of Denver for a year.
Oh yeah?
When I was halfway through second grade when I moved out there, so it was like 99 to 2000, I think.
Whoa.
Into third grade.
99, 2000.
Yeah, because 2001 I would have been in fourth grade, so I think, is that the right math?
That sink in for everybody? Just catch that? Everybody feel old that needs to? Alright, moving on.
But I've only lived where I could remember in 2 places, and that's down in Alabama and up in Colorado, and it's so different, but I love both places. Like, I love the beach, and summer sucks, it gets way too hot, but it's beautiful here. But the mountains, it's just, I forgot how clear the air is, and we got there too late, so we You know, it's just black driving out there all at night. But we walked from where we stayed to eat breakfast, and we walked around the corner, and I turned around, and it was like the mountains were there, and I was just like, oh, thank you, God. Like, oh, beautiful. That's what I loved about it the most. And, you know, it was an hour drive back to Denver through some mountains, so it was just, the trip was worth that.
Hell yeah. That's great, man. That reminds me of one of my only memories of playing Denver. We were pulling into downtown or wherever it is that Mile High Stadium was, and that was the venue for the night. And so we rolled in, fucking past the mountains and all that shit, beautiful sunset, Mile High Stadium. Was there for like almost 5 days, and that's the only thing I really remember. That view is fucking incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was awesome, and the air is so different too. And like Jonathan was there, and he was talking about how clear the air is, and I was kind of mocking him. I was like, "Yo, it's so much clearer. It's easier to breathe." And I went, and it was like, "Ooh, they filled up too quick." It's it's deep here.
Well, altitude, yeah, and being at altitude makes that a different thing. What is it? It's a lower pressure as you go up, or higher pressure. I can't remember.
I'm no scientist.
Yeah.
I don't
know. We'll pretend to figure that one out. That's very cool, though, man. That's great that y'all got to run out there and run back. Next time, stay longer so you can fill all of our orders when you come back.
Right. Not my tail, huh? I don't stick my neck out for nobody, Compton.
No one should. No one should. The reason that's funny is because if you do stupid stuff like that, everyone around Colorado, all of those states, are just looking to lynch people. It's not worth it.
Kansas is just like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, they do. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've talked to tons of people that say it's not, that have been through it and say they're running racket. They're running a racket. Mm-hmm. You know, the same way they do in every tourist town. You know, that's their one thing.
I guess it's probably comparable to the alcohol at the beach, just trying to get everybody down there.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think underage drinking and smoking pot are two totally different things. So I think, anyway, Well,
the ramifications of one are significantly worse than the other. You know, there's a whole lot of BS around that. I think the way that laws get enforced in tourist towns is oftentimes the opposite of lenient. You know, the revenue streams that small communities try and make out of some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we used to joke coming through Robertsdale when I would drive over to the beach from Mobile to Gulf Shores, how it was all it's all speed traps through there. It was all speed traps.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it's nothing new. It's
I think all my tickets came from Somerdale. Actually, my first ticket was Silver Hill, which is the same thing. Might as well be the same speed trap, but yeah. They've tanned my hide a couple of times. I had to pay like $400 a day before I went to the Virgin Islands on a tour with Ryan a couple of years ago. It's like, I'll just take care of it before I leave. I was just like, all right, well, there's my spending money.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that nonsense. I like the Andy Griffith version of law enforcement. Like,
they're so much nicer.
Yeah, just real laid back. Like all this, the DARE war on drugs stuff it's gotten out of control. The police officers being put in positions to go and round up and investigate and find bad people, that's not what cops are for. Like, cops are supposed to be Andy Griffith, and they should have the opportunity to be heroes. That's the best explanation I've heard, is that cops should never be put in a position to be anything less than a hero. And when you call them in to be like the pointed end of the spear instead of coming to save the day,
it's a bad vibe.
Yeah, it's not what they're there for.
Yeah, Steve.
He's gone that way for a while.
We had the door open all day, taking things in and out, so they all came in. Like, it's hot. Your house is cold. Damn flies.
Yeah, anyway. Be careful in tourist towns. That's the moral of that story. Be responsible.
Yes, always be responsible.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
And Don't do stupid things, and you normally will be okay.
Rules for life.
For the most part. So, what else is going on in the big wide world? We talked about music last time, so I don't want to drill you on any of the band stuff.
I'll talk music for days. You never have to apologize.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to. I didn't have any grand designs on where to steer the plan. I wanted to hear you talk about the music that you love and some of the stuff that you love doing. But before I let you get off on it, the surfboards. Did you grow up here in Pensacola? Or Alabama?
I grew up in Alabama. Foley. I lived in Foley. I lived in Silver Hill. I lived in Loxley when I was real little.
Gotcha. But you've been around the water for a long time, so surfing is probably not a new thing for you.
Surfing you'd think it was.
Telling on yourself, that makes a good story.
No, dude, I'm not. I ain't no poser. I'll let you know how bad I am. But that big board is my dad's, and we were talking about that board yesterday, I think. But the little one, the little Stewart, I've had since I was 7.
Oh, cool.
My dad's from the beach out in California. Like he lived in Bakersfield, and he's all the different suburbs of Los Angeles and all that. But he surfed like we played music. That was his passion. That's what he lived for. So he would go surfing a lot when I was little, and he's not the most patient man. So he didn't really give us a lot of he didn't give us lessons or anything. But I eventually, like one of my best friends, Ethan, was a surfer, and he would take us out and he would give me like pointers and stuff. But yeah, so that's what those are about.
Nice.
I still haven't. I think I've gone surfing twice since I've lived in Pensacola, and Adam surfs all the time. And I lived with him, which is kind of funny. He didn't have no patience either. He's like, "Come on, get out of my way.
Keep up or get out of the way."
Yeah.
I would love to surf, but I heard that the sea lice are back, and I just don't like shit like that.
What is that? Like sea lice?
Yeah, they call it sea lice. It's not lice at all. Okay. It's actually tiny jellyfish, baby jellyfish.
Do they sting?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, so if they get caught in between your shirt and your skin, and they get scared or whatever, they get squished, then they'll sting you.
Man, jellyfish are terrible. Yeah. Not. You can see them. They get so bad sometimes. You'll see the wave come up, and it's just nothing but jellyfish in the wave. Yeah, gives you the heebie-jeebies.
And some of those things can kill you.
Yeah,
it's like a bunch of them can kill you. Like if you're allergic to them and stuff.
I'm not. Thank God.
Still no.
Catch some of those in your shorts.
Try swimming in a kilt.
No,
way less protection.
I bet it feels great if you don't have to worry about anything.
Yes, unfortunately, in the ocean, you have to worry about everything.
Everything.
Everything. Nightmares.
Mother Nature.
Bad thoughts. Ooh, horrific. Press this button while I'm thinking about it.
Did a little restart?
Yeah, the camera only records in like 25-minute chunks, and so it makes it easier to break it up.
Work.
But yeah, the weather so growing up in Foley, this is something that's concerned me lately, and being a local guy, the temperature in the Gulf, I don't ever remember it being this warm, the water being this warm for this long before. It seems weirdly different the last couple of years, but I haven't lived down here for a long time, so I'm still getting used to it. Does the weather seem pretty normal to you, or does it seem like it's being weirder than usual?
I mean, it's definitely hotter. Like I feel like every year, whenever it reaches its hottest, I feel like it's hotter every year.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the stats say, but that's what it feels like. I don't know. All the years run together, but we didn't have a lot of hurricanes. We did. This area didn't get too many hurricanes last year, did they?
No.
I know. I remember there were some bad ones like Harvey and all that, but
they were more to the east, of us.
Yeah.
I feel like we're overdue. Yeah. Like growing up in Mobile, I just missed Frederick in '79, and then I remember Ivan in 2004. And that was the last one to hit our little section.
Well, Katrina did, but Katrina didn't tear us up like Ivan did. Ivan was the biggest one in my memory because Ivan...
direct hit.
Yeah, my dad worked as the executive chef at Westminster Village in Spanish Fort, which was a retirement center. And whenever hurricanes would come by that were bad enough, me and all my family would go and stay there. Because he still had to work, and my mom would get in the kitchen and help out. But I remember Ivan because we came home and there was a tree on our house, like it knocked a big tree, and you walk down the hallway and you look into my parents' room and you can see a branch like sticking out of the closet. Oh, so man. that really affected us. Like I remember trees down and yards getting all tore up, but that's the only hurricane I can remember that really dealt us any damage, and it like knocked the house off its foundation. We had rats, like you'd think they were possum, they were so big.
Whoa.
That house, we called it ground zero because the floor fell in the living room.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was like there was enough room for the computer, the TV, my dad's sound system, his recliner, and then there were like wooden blocks holding up plywood. You couldn't come in the front door.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and that was Ivan.
Man.
Ivan did all that.
Man.
But I remember growing up was Andrew the one in the early 90s? I remember Andrew because we stayed at my church that year. And I remember Danny because of how much it rained.
Yeah.
I remember being out in the water up to like here.
Man, I was in Cincinnati when Ivan hit, so I was not down here for that. I just saw pictures for months. I didn't get down here until months afterwards. Craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Just sunk. Like, was it a sinkhole or was it the living room just
it just kind of
collapsed?
fell out from the inside out. Like, say, actually, visualize here. Say that's the front door, right?
Yeah.
That window.
Yeah.
My dad's chair would have been right there.
Mm-hmm.
The TV would have been right there, and the computer would have been where that desk is. And just like it was like a square room with a big circle in it. Like all the tile had just kind of fallen in, and we had two big pieces of plywood that just kind of where you could walk by if you needed to. The piano fell through. We had a piano there.
Oh,
that's. I think that's what caused it. Now,
so a lot of pressure.
Yep.
And the piano just sunk it.
And my mom was telling the story the other day, like they were trying to move it and the piano fell and it like pinned her hand to the wall.
Ah.
Like just.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Gruesome.
Yeah.
Gruesomeness. Man.
Hurricanes. They don't have hurricanes in Colorado.
No.
They got hella tornadoes, but they ain't got hurricanes.
They do have tornadoes?
Oh yeah, it's Tornado Alley. It's not as many. It's a little like Kansas is the where a lot of them are, but
man. That's okay. Yosemite's gonna blow up soon, and everybody's gonna be fucked.
Oh yeah. Well,
did you hear about the Hawaiian volcanoes getting worse? Like it's gonna blow. It's expected to blow like Mount St. Helens did.
Really?
Yeah. Like they're evacuating a bunch of people. They're getting nervous. They're getting real nervous. I keep waiting on the reports to come out that that whole corner of the island's just blown off.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I really don't follow the news a whole lot ever since Facebook changed its app. Because I used to, that's how terrible. I'm such a sheep, but I used to, used to do the search bar on Facebook and like news would come up.
Yeah.
Like every morning I'd just be like, are we under attack? Did something blow up?
Right.
Who's dying today?
What are we panicked about today?
Exactly. And, but yeah, that's seeing videos of that and it's it gets my eyes open.
Yeah.
Something's wrong,
It's scary.
The earth is mad.
It's
letting us know.
Well, and when you look at it in big enough pictures, it's one of the things that really bugs me about my education. The things that we just didn't know about history until recently, because people were lazy assholes and not intentionally hid information, but just didn't do diligent science. And a bunch of history fell by the wayside. That irks the shit out of me because there's so much that pins on you knowing how we got to a certain point to make a good judgment on it. And when you just don't have a ton of information, how the hell is anybody supposed to make a good judgment? And there's so much there's just so much that I was not told as a child. Assholes! Like, you knew, and you didn't tell us. Oh, anyway, that frustrates the shit out of me.
So you're a couple of years older than me. I assume it just gets worse as you get older.
It does.
Okay, yeah.
The more, like, because it's experience, I think. The more of the picture you can see, the more it becomes clear that even the adults don't have a fucking clue what's going on. Like, it's fucking chaos all over the place. And it's so much of a con. Like, there's so much of this manufactured crisis over the dollar, which is just imaginary. You know, and granted, there are economical institutions built on all that stuff, but that's not hugging your kids, you know? Like, money is not... It's not what people cling to in their final moments. Hopefully that's where humanity's going, though. I don't know what your thoughts on this, the future of humanity look like with artificial intelligence, and if you ever do the thought experiments of where we're going. Like, universal basic income is one that's come up for like the changing of the landscape. There is a candidate for president in 2020 that's seriously advocating a universal basic income. Like, that's unheard of.
A universal
basic income, which means that everyone would be eligible to receive $1,000 a month. So it would supplement your income, and
so you get to a point where you don't need it. Is it like a need?
Yeah, I'm sure that there are nuances to it, but it would basically. The idea is that when millions of truckers lose their jobs due to automation, and when automation becomes so prevalent that it endangers a large percentage of the workforce, then it would be easier for people to survive if they had this $1,000 of basic income to cover food, shelter, the basic needs. And so it would make it easier for people to achieve upward mobility socioeconomically. It would make poverty much less of a thing. And there are plenty of pros and cons to be debated on both sides of it, but it's serious Gene Roddenberry Star Trek stuff. Like, it's very egalitarian, utopian philosophy. Whether or not it can be pulled off, and this dude's going to get elected, who knows? That someone is seriously floating it and making a real stab at it is interesting. And what's even more interesting is that it's really not. I said a minute ago that it's new and that it's never been done before, but it's straight out of the 70s and 60s and 70s. It's not that new, which gets us back to how ill-informed my teachers were, because nobody told me that. Anyway. Hey, Sarah. Politics. Yeah, who knows? My biggest thing before we move on is the corporations. I don't like seeing corporations mistreat people. That's really unfortunate.
I don't like seeing people get mistreated.
Yeah. We can do better than that.
We can do better. It's not hard to treat people nice.
No.
Like, think about the first thing you think about. Would I be upset if I did this to myself? Like, if someone did this to me, would it affect me negatively?
Exactly.
If the answer is yes, then
don't do it.
Maybe don't do it.
Just maybe. Maybe don't do that.
Oh, don't do it. So I'm looking at the phone like that's where
I know, it gets distracting. But you can see people's comments like minutes after they come through.
Work.
It's all out of time, which is pretty interesting. It's a question I ask myself on a regular basis. Like, if we quit trying to make the sequel to Spaceballs and just did some good in the world, just within our own borders, like seriously focused on just making our country the best place possible, what could that look like? And for a world superpower, this shining city on a hill that the United States is supposed to be, why can't we get there? Like, why are we so far from there? Blows me away.
I think the least you could do is just do it on a, like what's the word I'm trying to use? Like, just do that in your own personal
Mm-hmm.
Like, just every day, be the good. Like, do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't be a dick.
Just, yeah, that one. That's my favorite. Don't be a dick.
And maybe somebody will catch on and be like...
Did you see the latest version of Dick? What is it? Something Patty. The lady calls the cops on this little 8-year-old for selling bottles of water. So instead of barbecue Becky, it's yeah. They got her on film. The video's viral. The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it's a new one. I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, it just came out. It's horrible. Some lady trying to weaponize the police. How did we get to that point? We need more Andy Griffiths. So Andy could just be like, what's the... Can you imagine if Andy Griffith showed up in most of these 911 calls these days?
Just be like, let's think about this here.
Oh man.
Just let everyone feel real bad about what they've done.
Barney Fife standing there trying to write somebody a ticket for barbecuing in their own yard, and Andy Griffith has to show up and go, well, now that's not right, and like explain the moral of the story. That's what this country's missing. We need more Andy Griffith.
Exactly. I saw on Twitter there's this thing called Modern Day Seinfeld, and it's like the just situations. It's not like scenes, but just situations that the characters would be in if it was like modern, pop culture. They need one of those for Andy Griffith, like modern day Andy Griffith.
That'd be so good.
Oh man, like think of how many people would still be alive if Andy Griffith had just shown up and.
So many.
You don't have to choke him. No, listen.
Yeah, just whoa. Is anybody hurt? Is anybody bleeding?
I'll give back what you took.
I can always remember Andy just sitting Opie down and like I was always Opie. I was the impatient kid. But now I'll be 40. I'll be 38 in July. So I'll be 40 soon, and I find myself all the time being the old guy and like, get off my lawn. But really just wanted to sit back and go, just wait a minute. Like, let's just wait a minute and see what happens. Like, we don't have to punch anybody yet. Just wait a minute and see what happens.
You'll know. Or maybe you won't.
Jeez. I never thought I would be but here I am. So goes the ship. I've been curious about finding some more things to do in the community. I've seen some people doing some interesting venue things, but I'm curious to ask you as a musician, do you think that there's going to be this resurgence of concerts in small venues? So like 30, 40 seat venues selling tickets for smaller shows. Like think back to the beginnings of punk maybe, or I think that would be the right genre. A lot of basement shows, a lot of stuff like that. Is there anything like that on the horizon for coming back around in the music scene, or is music and the bar scene so strictly tied together? I guess.
I think live music and drinks have probably. I mean, I don't know how long bars have been having live music, but I mean, live music and drinks all it's kind of synonymous, really. So I think that's always been there. I don't know if there's going to be a resurgence. I personally would love to see a resurgence. It depends on. To me, it's a money thing. I think a lot of it is a money thing because you could have, who doesn't want to go see 3 bands in a night play the best, best hour of music that they have.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome, but can you afford, if you have a 8-piece band, then you have a 3-piece band and a 5-piece band, that's what, 8, 3, and 5.
Yeah.
16? If everybody gets at least $100 a man,
mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money for a bartender to put out for, say Friday and Saturday, 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
They have to sell tickets at the door. And do people want to buy tickets? That's a thing that people have to like. I don't know what it is about the consumer, but a cover charge like $5 for a cover, and $5 for on a normal night, and $5 for a ticket. That's like they can't they don't see that it's just the same $5. It's like when you know, tip the band. Like, you could put $10 in the bucket, or you could spend $30 getting everybody a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And some bands would rather have the shot, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would rather have the shot. A lot of the times I'd rather have the $10 in the bucket, you know, because that. But there's a lot. I think there's a lot that has to happen for that to make a resurgence.
Yeah.
Do I know if that's what's happening? I really don't. But I would love to see it happen.
Me too.
And it's also, you know, what is a small venue? What's the difference between a small venue and a bar? You know, like, is Chizuko and the Brickyard the same kind of thing? Or, like, you know, Vinyl and the Handlebar and Flounders and the Break?
I'm going to go with no, because what I've got in mind is something more along the lines of a theater. So, the Vinyl being the exception there, the easiest way for me to describe it is no bar stools. So
Vinyl is the exception?
Well, I don't hang out in Vinyl much, but I don't know.
It's like the Soul Kitchen, it's just a smaller, like they, you know, they have bar stools in the back, just like Soul Kitchen does.
Yeah. But so that would work. That's their version of more towards a music venue, more standing room. I'm thinking more of a lounge,
like sitting room only, sitting down and watching a show.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. We got to
like
do
Bluebird Cafe listening room, stuff like that. People do something like that, right?
I don't know where that is.
Sorry,
but like the listening room, even.
I haven't been there, so I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking.
Seems like someplace you'd frequent. No, the listening. I like every show I've seen at the listening room. They don't typically put on, you know, it's more songwriter kind of stuff, and I don't really go and see those. All due respect to those people, I got friends that do those. No, theaters. We did one in Fort Walton, and I cannot remember the name of the theater, but it's right there on the main strip going through it for a festival that, again, I cannot remember, but it was a Hotel Oscar show, and that is one of my favorite shows that I've done. Dave Shaw from The Revivalists did a solo show there, like, soon afterwards, but that's, you know, like the Imogene, too. Have you ever seen a show at the Imogene?
No. What's that like? I've seen that come up.
It's like... It's kind of like a theater. I mean, they put out tables and chairs and stuff. You know, it's not like theater, like cushy seatings that go down and stuff. But John Hart put on 2 different shows there at 2 different times with a bunch of bands, and it was actually kind of like what we're talking about. It was Tyler Mack Band played, and then John Hart Project played, and then there was just this big jam at the end, and we had like extra people coming and sitting in, like a bunch of bass players sat in, a bunch of guitar players. And that is, like, those are some of my favorite shows.
Cool.
Just anything where like, you know, my band can play and my buddy's band can play, and maybe some people have no idea. I get to hear them play.
Yeah.
But
that's the Imogene Theater. I'm glad you mentioned that one. That's one that I should look into. A friend of mine mentioned the Little Theater down in the Little Loop Theater down in Pensacola. I'm not familiar with that one.
I played the Little Theater too. That's a cool venue. I did that with Shotzi and the Screamboffin.
I don't know them.
They are. You know Ben Parsons, the guitar player?
That name sounds familiar. I think we've met.
Gotcha. Yeah. They're from Milton. And I met them out on. They live in Santa Rosa Beach now, but it's Danica Lowry is a guitar player and singer, and Ben Parsons is her brother. He's a guitar player and singer, and both very talented people. Danica is one of my favorite singers. She's a good guitar player, and they're both write really good songs. Ben is he's nasty. He's real nasty. Yeah. Even in like the few years I've known him, he is just he'll cut you now. Yeah, he'll take your head clean off your shoulders.
Nice.
But I played the Little Theater with them, and the Rips opened up, which is Mike Ingram's old band. But yeah, theater shows are the tits.
That's I need to look back into that. Do either of those places ever do a lounge setup, or does the Imogene just do straight? Anyway,
Imogene probably do whatever you can book there.
Yeah,
they seem pretty open.
That's cool. They've got Ben Bailey from Cash Cab.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's going to be up there soon. He's an incredible stand-up.
I remember thinking his stand-up was kind of weird, but pretty funny when I saw it a while back. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen any of his stuff, too. Years.
I like Cash Cab. Sometimes you see people in one setting, and then you see their stand-up, and you're like,
Right?
Joe Rogan
Different
was like
thing.
that.
Really?
Well, the first time I saw like his old stand-up, I was like, Joe, you are terrible. Why do you do stand-up? Which I'm kind of picky with stand-up. And then I saw this newest one because I started listening to his podcast, which his podcasts are awesome. Mm-hmm. And his the newest one he just put out I thought was pretty funny.
Which
one?
Triggered?
I think so.
The one where he gets up on the stool?
It starts off about smoking weed and talking to dolphins.
Yeah.
I think he does get up on a stool.
At the end. He does the Bruce Jenner bit.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's triggered. He's got another one coming out soon. Yeah, somebody said about Joe Rogan, I think it was Dave Chappelle, or a true monster in comedy, like a legend, said that Joe was the only comedian to ever will himself into being funny. Like, yeah. And that's not coming from me. This is coming from a prestigious comedian, but that's how much respect he's got in the comedy community. I mean, that he has manifested all the stuff that he has done. And it's funny that you put it that way, because it kind of reinforces that he's come a long way.
I was just like, golly, he is not funny. Why is he?
But to be fair, I'd pay good money to be early couple of specials funny. Like, that's still top 1% funny.
Right. He's made it incredible. He's made it as a comedian. Well, now we're in your ballpark. Tell me about your comedians that you like. Because I haven't in a long time, but I used to just come home and, get in my zone and just put on some stand-up. I just watch stand-up all the time. Drove Taylor crazy how much stand-up I watch. Because she's like, I listen to people talk all day. I don't want to listen to people talking. I'm like, but it's fun. It's fun. He's funny.
So the comedy for me begins, first I'll say I was listening to two incredible comedians earlier today, Ari Shaffir on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Nice.
So that's how deep into comedy I am. But I got into comedy and have always been a comedy fan. One, because my parents exposed me to it when I was really young, and it was somewhat of an entree for me into philosophy. And then when I was old enough to get my hands on History of the World Part 1, Mel Brooks, and he does that line of, I'm a stand-up philosopher. I had been a Carlin fan already, and so to hear him say that as a student of philosophy and a fan of comedy just solidified for me how significant comedy could be, when wielded properly. And so I've always had a huge admiration for it, and that's what pushed me into being a public speaker and studying rhetoric and communication, and how I became a people person and being good at reading people, and got me through the casino industry and all that good stuff. But I had never tried stand-up, because that's a different thing, like being on the spot. I can get up and speak extemporaneously, but that's just imparting information. That's because I know shit. Mm-hmm. That's not because I'm funny. So I got up for the first time less than a year ago at an open mic, and I've been working at being funnier ever since.
Did you bomb your first time?
No, I didn't bomb. I did okay because of my understanding and appreciation. I knew somewhat that I needed to be prepared. I knew that this was not an off-the-cuff thing. Like, I had a pretty good idea what I was getting into, so I had prepared a bit, had some good components to it, and I had a strong close. And so I did okay my first set. I got a few compliments, which was way better than could be expected.
Yeah, I feel for comedians a lot. Like, it's funny looking at things and realizing that it's as much an art form as what you do. Like being a chef, being a comedian, being a musician. It's like, it's an art, and you deliver this to people, and it's like if you don't get the response that even close to like a response that makes you feel a little good, it can be like I can't imagine going up on stage with the only thing you're supposed to do is make these people laugh, and nothing lands. Like, I would be this small. I'd just be like, take a good night and just kind of crawl out the door.
Yes, I have done that. I have been that person. It's bombing sucks, but it's a lesson. It's a learning opportunity. For me, when I first got up to do an open mic, I came at it from the standpoint of, okay, I know I'm not a comedian. I want to learn how to be a comedian. And so I went back and applied just the way that I learned things to all the comedy that I'd ever watched, and tried to look at it from understanding how it's constructed, understanding how to put my voice with some of these common formulas that make a good joke, finding out where the turn is and how to flip something, and just the basics of comedy. I set to learning all that stuff, and it's not easy. Like, it's and that's one of the things that makes it so much fun, though, because you get the chance to go up there and either screw it up or have a killer night, Mm-hmm. And it's fun when you get a good laugh, when you get a good response. I've gotten a couple of good laughs. I've still got so much to learn, but I've gotten a couple of good laughs, and it's fucking addictive. Mm-hmm. It's really addictive.
Thinking about it now, too, the creative side of it's really tougher than being a musician, because being a musician, like, the point is to steal from people. Like, like, this is, I like that lick that so-and-so just played, and you play it, and you play it at your next show, and they're like, hey, that sounded good. You can't do that with comedy. You have to be, because that's something that I've read about a little bit when I was getting into stand-up, and just reading, while I'm watching the show, is people how serious it is to steal jokes.
Yeah.
And, like, little stolen bits, and you find out, like, Robin Williams was a notorious joke stealer. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know about that, he was amazing, fantastic actor, sure. Great movies, sad ending, but he stole jokes.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I think the reason for that is because a joke only ever gets one first laugh, and you never get a better laugh than the first laugh. And so a joke is only really good one time. And so it's one of the reasons that Carlin was so influential when he started recording those hour specials on HBO and doing a new one every year. That's a bar that just blows people out of the water. Even Ari and Joe were talking today about how there were comedians that were doing their same 45-minute set from years ago. Like, that versus Carlin doing a fresh hour every year are two different planets. Like, that's not even the same comedy world. And so where we've come since then, and it's even easier to get comedy out there now, that it's so much easier to have material that's just gone and no good, even if somebody doesn't steal it. Mm-hmm. So when somebody takes that, takes something that you only get one of, like, we should all join Spaceballs. Sorry, YouTube, if you missed part of that. Deal with it. Listen to the
audio.
Yeah, go back and listen to it. That's what happens. Sometimes it'll just stop recording. And it should give me a little warning, but it doesn't. So it's annoying.
Oh, well. What you gonna do?
That's me rambling on about comedy. But it's been a lot of fun. I have, in the short time that I've been doing it, have gotten the opportunity to host a bunch of open mics over in Mobile, which is just an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, you kind of got them all in the ringer now.
Yeah, well, I came along at the right time. There were, everything goes in ups and downs, and this is kind of a down cycle for comedy in Mobile, and so I got in at the right time to be able to do that. And I got in with just a great group of people, the Pensacola comedy scene through Back Porch Comedy and Deadbeats of Comedy and everything that's going on in Panama City, and just a great scene here, plus everybody over in Mobile at the Blind Mule and doing everything there. It's kind of a privilege to be like, all right, so you better get good fast. We'll be back in a minute. Because there's always so much going on. It's awesome. It's really cool. It's more of a learning opportunity, and I try and go at it from that standpoint. Like, what can I learn? How can I get in here, and what can I learn today, so that hopefully I can get out on the road and start recording my own stuff sooner or later.
Right, whenever that comes. Yeah,
right. But to be this far, not even a year in, it makes me happy. It's, how it is. It's fun when you find something that's fun and compelling and difficult that you want to get better at. It keeps the brain occupied, which is awesome. So who do you like comedy-wise?
Well, I'm trying to think of who. Sadly enough, I really like Louis C.K.
That's not sadly. I mean,
well, he kind of turned out to be a little bit more of a weirdo than people thought he.
Comedians.
Well, yeah, artists,
right?
I knew he was,
creepy, horrible asshole. Don't do shit like that for sure. But he wrote good jokes too.
Oh yeah, and his show was great. It's just you're really not surprised when he's like, oh, he's that weird. I mean, if you watch his show, you're definitely like, yeah, he's a little.
Yeah. Where do you think he came up with the bit, men are the worst thing to ever happen to women?
Because he is.
Yeah, like there's a lot of truth in some of the darkest comedy out there.
That's what comedy is. Horrible truths.
And before all that stuff came out, I was a big Louis C.K. fan too. When he came out with his last special, before all that came out, I looked at him as the philosopher king, top of the world. Yeah. He was the dude. But then when you hear that it's been going on for that was the heartbreaking part for me, was that it wasn't new information. Like it had happened and had been happening. And you're just like,
that's the sad part about all of it, is it's like, so like how many people knew, how many people could have stopped this like a long time ago.
Right.
But yeah, Louis C.K. is funny to me. Man, if you could have asked me a couple months ago, I would have been able to tell you. But I liked Anthony Jeselnik's. I'm trying to think of all the ones I've seen on Netflix. Richard Pryor. I've really liked some of Richard Pryor's stuff.
Legend.
Yeah, I've seen like the stuff, like the really, the stuff everybody's seen. And I've seen there's like a bootleg special or something on Netflix right now. That is just like, I'm pretty desensitized by this point, but some of the stuff, this little Baptist boy is just like, I can't listen to this much longer. It is nasty. But man, he's hilarious. George Carlin. I was like, I really got into George Carlin. I was, he's, again, being a Baptist boy, some of the stuff he says is a little like, but he just lays it down, and you're like, oh, that's so good. Bill Hicks. I really think Bill Hicks is something special.
Really?
Yeah. Again, being a Baptist boy, you wouldn't think so.
Yeah, that's why it's surprising.
Man, you can't just, being a Christian, you're gonna hear that, no matter, and you either get mad about it or you're just like, people think that. I think the way I think, and that's how he thinks, and that's how it's gonna be. But he's just, he is so funny. Like how absurd he would get. Like, he would just be so over the top, and you're like, how much longer is he gonna scream? And he just, longer than you think. Like when he does the demon, it's like, imagine being there and you're just like, this dude is insane. But he is. Like, I want to play music like Bill Hicks does comedy. I want to be just like, I don't know, just blowing people away, he might be my favorite.
Yeah.
All the specials I've seen, and I've actually watched some documentaries on him too, not just specials.
Have you seen the clip where his mom goes on David Letterman? And they air the interview that they didn't air back in the day. Mm-hmm. That's pretty touching. Yeah. Like, even Letterman's like,
why didn't they let that go? He didn't say anything bad. Yeah.
That was pretty touching. Hicks has always been an anomaly for me, because I really enjoy that style, but I don't have the confidence that Bill Hicks had to pull it off on stage. Like,
that's why he was an addict.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But
I mean, eventually, he got over it, and it just became sheer confidence.
Yeah. But I just can't do that. Like, I've had a set turn into a TED Talk, and it's not funny. People don't like it, and it's awkward. It's not good. But someone made a really good point. They said that he was less of a comic than he was a poet. He's got that one moment where he leans off the stage and it's like, because I'm a fucking poet, lady.
See, stuff like that is...
Yeah.
He,
it's just a ride closer.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's a great closer.
God damn.
So think of a better closer than that?
Stanhope. Stanhope's closer.
Okay. I really like Doug Stanhope. Mom, don't listen to any of these comedians. Yeah, he's another guy that's just radical. Like, that's what I appreciate. There are some comedians I don't like just because they're just. Like, I don't like Jim Jeffries. People think he is hysterical. I think he's an asshole. I just don't. which comedian, you know, he's a comedian, blah, blah, blah. Stanhope is too, but he's right there at the edge of just, this dude is hysterical.
Yeah.
Just his bit about his mom committing suicide and, like, you know, it's statute of limitations, 3 years. Just
so fucked up, but so good. The bit I was thinking of was the Shamu bit, the SeaWorld thing.
Can't think of that one right now.
I don't want to give too much of it away, but I think the premise is he wants to come up with a closer, like the best closer possible, and he draws the comparison between all the SeaWorld stuff.
Gotcha.
I won't give any more of it away.
Was his closer the one about the football player? Wasn't that his closer on that one special, or was it his mom? I can't remember if that was his different two specials. I can't talk about that.
I'll have to go back
It's nasty.
and look.
I just wanted to hear it live.
Taylor's coming to check on us.
I just thought of another comedian that I really like too.
Who's that?
I can't remember what it was. It was right here. Now it's gone.
I got into Just for Laughs recently. The Montreal series, like they do a big thing where everybody gets up and does 5 or 10 minutes. Everybody's done it. Like it's one of the big staples. And I was watching Marin on there, but Hannibal Buress.
I've tried
You
to.
know, like
Who, Mark Maron? Or?
No.
Oh yeah, she don't like
I
Mark
don't
Maron.
like stand up anyway.
Yeah, that's what.
Like I hate listening to people talk, and I'd come home from work and I'd be like, I've literally been talking to people all day, and now you want me to sit here and listen to this guy talk about how funny he is? Like,
Yeah.
like okay.
Hannibal. I think I've tried to watch Hannibal Buress before. It's some of these comedians. It's been a long time. Like I'd have to try and watch them again.
yeah.
It was either him or Trevor Noah that I turned on and turned off because it just didn't have the.
Trevor Noah's pretty good. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that's been. Jimmy Carr, British comedy.
I haven't watched Jimmy Carr.
Oh,
I've on Netflix just clicking.
Jimmy Carr, Richard Iowati.
That is the guy who plays Moss on the IT Crowd.
Yes.
Okay, I bet
I
he'd be
love
pretty
him.
funny.
Yes.
IT Crowd is one of my favorite shows.
I've
that
seen it
watched.
like 4 or 5 times. How about
we
you?
have somewhere in a box is all of the seasons because I couldn't just have it. Like if Netflix took it away, it wouldn't be okay with me.
I failed a lot of my last semester of college because me and my friend would just be like, let's just go watch IT Crowd. We just put IT Crowd and watched it. And that's when I was like, I'm not going back to school. I'm gonna go be in a rock band.
We got
full-time.
this.
Yeah.
Hell
It
yeah.
was worth it. IT Crowd.
That's a really good one. Yeah, so you need to watch Richard Iowati in Travel Man if you haven't already.
Is that Netflix?
No, you got a YouTube.
Okay.
This Channel 4, British Europe Channel 4. And then the other one is Crystal Maze. Have you seen that one?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, Crystal Maze. It's like Richard Iowati as the host of Nickelodeon something or other. It's hilarious. It's great. And he's got this little hand on the end of a cane. So he doesn't have to, like, pulls this whole Howie Mandel, so he doesn't have to, Mandel, like, I can't fucking talk.
Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel.
South.
Yeah.
He's the singer of Disturbed, isn't he? Howie Mandel.
Is he?
Doesn't he look like David Draymond?
I believe it if you say so.
I hope I look like a total moron for saying that. Hold up.
Well, while you're looking that up, for anybody that's interested in comedy down here in Pensacola and Mobile, yes?
All right, pay attention. That's Howie Mandel.
Oh, yeah?
Y'all see that? It's Howie Mandel.
Back Porch Comedy in Pensacola.
Lead singer of Disturbed.
Oh, God. Spitting image. Spitting image. Slight difference in roundness of the head, but straight up.
Oh, Oh, wow.
If he's a germaphobe, they could switch places.
Mandel.
Howie Mandel. Perfect.
All right.
Man. Comedy. There's so many good ones. Gallagher was one of my favorites back in the day. Did you ever see Gallagher?
My dad talks about Gallagher.
Oh, yeah. Before he sold the thing to his brother. He was good old.
I just heard he was like Carrot Top.
Yeah,
Before Carrot Top
Smashed
did steroids.
watermelons.
Lots of gimmicks.
He was the one that got angry on Maron's podcast, or was it Howard Stern?
I don't know. Do tell.
Gallagher somebody asked him about if he was racist against Mexicans, I think. And he got mad and left. I think it might have been Maron's podcast.
I'll look it up.
You'll look it up?
Stop
There you go.
looking at your phone while you're on the podcast.
No, that's all right. Now we've got a production team. Thank you so much. This is perfect.
Okay.
This is how we recruit. This is how we recruit staff.
Gallagher mad as hell.
Gallagher mad as hell.
That was one of his tours.
Comedy
Yeah,
show,
that was
okay.
one of his tours.
Okay, that's fair.
I could see it. I could see it being him because Gallagher went through some shit. Like he had all these tax problems at one point, and he sold his act to his brother, and then his brother sold it to somebody, and they sued each other, and just all kinds of crazy shit.
As it goes.
Yeah. But the one time I saw him in Mobile, my dad took my brother and I to see him, and it was rather influential. But then he took us to see Carrot Top, so I'm not sure what that says about my dad. But we got to see comedy.
Where at Mobile?
In Sanger.
Sanger?
At the Sanger, yeah.
Closest to comedy I saw at the Sanger, I saw Weird Al Yankovic when he came a couple years ago.
Fuck yeah!
Dude, people, when I tell people I went and saw Weird Al, and they're like,
oh no, I want to hear about this.
One of the best shows I've ever seen. And I went with my brother Travis, and we grew up like listening to Weird Al.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know how. I think my buddy introduced him to me, but I was one of the first CDs I ever bought. All right, get this.
Yeah, oh yeah, lay it on me.
Back to
Hang
music.
on, we're gonna make your thing.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
All
We're
right.
good.
First CDs I bought, right? New song, greatest hits, Christian band. New song, Newsboys, greatest hit, Christian band. Weird Al Yankovic's greatest hits. 2 CD collection.
I remember.
I was a big Weird Al fan. But me and my brother went, and it was like it starts off, everything went dark, and the cameras come up, and it's Weird Al singing. The band is playing, and it's Weird Al singing his first song. I can't remember what it was, but he's walking outside the Sanger. He has a cameraman, and he's just walking by people, and they're like, normal street people, and he comes walking in, and he comes running down the aisle, gets up on stage, just puts on a great show. Like, one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Cool.
And he still sounds great, looks great. The band was awesome. His like the little bits and stuff, they did all the stuff that I grew up with.
Nice. That dude, consummate professional. Like,
yes, and he can sing too. Like you think he's just a parody artist, but like.
The dude plays accordion. Like, you
plays
don't
accordion,
fuck around
yeah.
and play accordion. That's serious shit.
Guitar too, but his, you gotta think, you gotta have pipes to cover all those Michael Jackson songs.
Oh yeah.
His favorite band is Led Zeppelin, and I've heard he'll just do Whole Lot of Love sometimes as his encore. Which, think about seeing Weird Al's band do Led Zeppelin live.
Wow.
I was hoping he would do it, and he didn't.
Another time. Still, that's very cool. Weird Al. Live at the Sanger.
Did you see Jerry Seinfeld when he came to the Sanger?
No, I heard the ticket prices were kind of ridiculous.
I never got that far. I would have liked to have seen him though.
He's one that I would enjoy seeing.
He's kind of like he's gonna end up being like Steve Martin and all those classic comedians.
Yep.
He's gonna up in the Mount Rushmores and the Golden Halls. And
did you see their special, Steve Martin and Martin Short?
No, but I really want to. It's on my. I look up. I'm like, I'm gonna make time for that.
It's so good.
I have to finish watching The Office first.
I have to finish watching The Office first.
Which one? American, UK?
American. It's like a never-ending hell that I live in. That is the only
tell
thing people watch.
We're having a good time. Can you just be gone? My fiance,
You should come over here and be on camera if you want to.
Oh God, I look so great.
Well, yeah, you have to. It's your punishment. Rub your face real hard. Get it all red.
Come join us properly.
But yeah, I've been watching The Office.
Yeah.
Which I've always loved The Office, and I've never watched it start to finish, and I'm almost through the 8th season, which I have one more season to go. It's been a long and arduous process, many beers drank while watching this show.
Many a hangover.
Many a hangover.
Many a movie unfinished.
Many a movie unfinished. Many this, many that. Many petty.
Come to me with a good time, sir. I love a good mani-pedi.
Same.
Look, now we're all kind of in there.
Yeah.
See? Ta-da. There we are.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So, The Office.
Never seen the British one.
I have.
Never seen the British one.
I don't like Ricky Gervais.
No. His new special was pretty good.
No, I won't give him any of my money or time.
That's fair. There are plenty of others.
He's just one of those ones I've never thought was funny.
Oh, I love that enormous safety pin. It's very Versace of you.
Is it? Versace stole some shit then.
I was thinking like Elizabeth Hurley, 1990s. She had this dress. It's like kind of famous that was like held together with like enormous safety pins. I'm pretty sure it was her.
Taylor, soon to be Finley, everyone. No, people have been using diaper pins and kilts for,
Centuries.
yeah, long as they've been around. Because
Millennia.
a kilt in the wind will flash a kid faster than a pedophile.
Right. I mean, I feel
It
you.
happens.
I've been to a picnic, like we have to weigh the tablecloths.
Right? I didn't know that when I put one on the first time, and it sailed away on me.
Oh!
Yeah, it happened. I had to experiment with different kilt pin weights and positions.
Worn dresses, like that's a good solution.
Yeah.
I would have had no idea that's what that was for.
When I started wearing dresses, that was the first thing I said to all the women in my life. Fuck y'all for not telling me how awesome this is.
I mean, it's the best. Everyone's like, you're really dressed up. I'm like, I literally just had to put this on. Like, that's it.
I tell people, I was like, you too can wear a towel in public as long as it's plaid and pleated.
Exactly.
I'm comfy. Got my short shorts on.
And that works just as well.
I did wear it wasn't a kilt. It was a Catholic schoolgirl skirt, but when I turned it sideways, it looked kind of kilty.
It's close enough.
Would wear that every now and then.
It's close enough.
Did not know that.
It's comfy, isn't it?
I would wear it like skateboarding and out being stupid with my friends, but yes, it was.
Very comfy.
And then I got fat, started digging in a little too much, and I gave it to somebody. They might still have it. I don't know. I haven't talked to them in a long time.
Elastic.
Yeah.
See, that's the way to go. Like, he really gets it.
Velcro.
They do that again?
It's the only sound more terrifying than a shotgun in my house.
Don't look.
Yeah. Man, so we've kind of been all over the place, Taylor. I'm sorry we invited you in.
I caught, like, the halfway point. So I heard about, like, universal basic income.
Right, that was us glancing off the top of politics and moving on.
And she's the one that'll talk to politics.
Oh yeah, do you know that dude's name then?
No, I don't. See, here's like the
Candidate
thing.
from Hawaii.
I don't
Another one.
like to read the news because it's like a serious bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But if something is interesting enough, I will read it. So I read a lot of like random articles, but I do have a degree in politics. I studied international politics in college.
Oh, cool.
And that I focused mainly on, like, the beginning of my degree, I focused on Latin America, and then the end of my degree, I focused on the Middle East. So
the DARE campaign just steered you off the first one?
yeah. I was like, no more. But I kind of got out of it. I mean, I don't want to get, like, too, like, about anything,
okay.
but it was really discouraging going through the election, and people were being so ugly to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for people we had known for years, just like, well, you're a blah, 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 and all the name calling and everything like that. And I was like, yo, like, I don't give a rip who you vote for. Like, we can still be friends. And I still say this to this day, like, I do not care as long as you take the time to go and vote. Because I think even now, people have become a lot more aware of how influential your vote is, because you're not just voting like Republican, Democrat. You're voting on laws, on constitutional amendments, on your mayor, who, especially here in Pensacola, local politics is very big here, and those people do make a difference, especially when you're paying property taxes, or whether or not your water bill or electric bill is going to be higher. All of that stuff comes into effect each cycle as it rolls around. So I think I realized that more as like time went on. And I worked in politics, and I kind of sort of work in politics now. So It all is just one big revolving door of...
Do we have the app yet that shows us government spending? Like, why don't we have a government app? That you go to the government app. No, people wouldn't want one. But here's why we should have one. Is because you could go to your government app and you could say, okay, my water bill this month. And then it's got all of the Wikipedia links built into it to show you why your water bill and your power bill and all this good stuff. And then it gives you the option, you get notifications, it's time to vote.
What gets on my nerves is whenever we get like a water bill or a gas bill. Like water bills basically say the same because they decide it based on like that percentage you use for those 2 months. But like my gas bill and the electric bill, we always have these like, it'll be like city tax incentive or like city tax something.
$12.
Yeah, like we pay higher taxes living in the city rather than living out in the county, which is whatever. Like it doesn't really matter. But like, what are you using that $27 for?
This could be in the government app. So you punch in your zip code.
But can you imagine
and you see the spending?
Trying to have that app created and like how long that would take, and like by the time they got around to making it, after like all of the log rolling that would go around, like apps would be obsolete and it would just be useless at that point. The 17 years it would take them to all agree on the addendums to this law.
The best one I've seen so far was this kid went for, I think it was for a graduate program. He came up with an app that showed you the dollar amount in donations and where they came from for everyone in all the elected officials.
Yeah,
like that's good on that guy. I'm all for that stuff.
I mean, all of that stuff is public record. But today I decided that like what I'm calling my representative about. So in the state of Florida, we're one of like 8 states who still do depositions. And to put something out there, I work for the state attorney's office. And depositions are the gum that is like clogging the cog of justice, basically. Because I have cases that are 2 years old that are just being continued and continued and continued because it's like, oh, well, I need to set a deposition. Oh, blah, 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 blah. If you have a sworn statement from someone, why are we dragging these people back in over and over and over again, dragging a victim back in and over and over and over again, asking the same questions they've already been asked? What difference does it make at that point? So I think it's a really pointless process, and it's like, it causes more harm than good because it causes the state more money and costs the state more money, and it's just time consuming and it sucks, basically. So
I believe it.
Everyone, when that petition comes out, my name's on it. I'm gonna need y'all to sign it. So you heard it first here.
There you go. Yeah, I'm a big fan of cutting out the red tape. My 2 cents on the political thing is that we need to rewrite the entire Constitution. I'm very Jeffersonian. And Jefferson was the first person to espouse that every generation has the right to apply their own terminology to the law of the land, as long as it's in keeping with the spirit of the morals and ideals of the country. And I'm a firm believer that that octogenarians just need to quit fucking up kids' future. Just plain and simple. Just plain and simple.
I do think what is good about like our Constitution is that it's very vague, and even though it is basically based off of essentially it's based off of the British government, like we have used it to our own devices, but I do wish that we had like how the British have a committee system where there's like not just 2 parties.
We need a parliament. We need a parliament so we can get some good television.
It is a parliament. Like, it is, technically.
So we just need better players, I don't know, man. The way their parliament is set up is just more conducive.
The talking to each other.
Yeah,
thing.
they're better at yelling at each other than we are.
They really are good at that part. It's be entertaining to watch.
It is
British
very entertaining.
Parliament.
Especially when you can you could call the Prime Minister in and just publicly shame him or her for having a shitty position and then move on.
Exactly.
I think we need some more of that.
I agree. That would be really entertaining.
Yeah. They're lots of fun. Pull
Yeah,
up.
me too.
Oh,
I was like, I don't give a shit.
What we're talking
Like, have you
about.
heard about the Allman Brothers? Weird Al Yankovic was covering the Allman Brothers for his
Straight
finale.
up is my personal favorite Allman Brothers bass player. Since we're talking about that now.
Oh man,
No, it's funny. I had never really heard of the Allman Brothers till we started dating.
Yeah. Okay. So get this. John Milham was talking about his son is old, and a teenager, and John was shedding the songs, listening to it, and his son was like, "That's the theme song to Top Gun." Top Gear, not Top Gun. Top Gear. He was playing Jessica. And I was like, that's what Taylor said when I would, Allman Brothers, and I was playing Jessica. She's like, "Oh, Top Gear." It's like, you guys are missing out, man.
Okay.
I'm on your page. Don't feel bad. I'm on your
a lot of
page.
hate if I say this the way I usually say it.
Everybody that's watching this has heard you say it once already.
Well, I just don't really mesh with jam bands, but it's really I don't have the attention span for it.
Mm-hmm.
Past 3 minutes and 49 seconds, I'm just kind of okay. Is the guitar solo over? And that's my thing. Guitar solos, I'm just So, when we got together, he was asking me all these questions. Even the first time we met, I couldn't name all 4 Beatles. I couldn't name anyone in Led Zeppelin.
Hated the Grateful Dead.
I don't know.
Hated the Grateful Dead.
Nah, and my dad's from Texas, and he is very much into kind of rockabilly sort of thing, and I got really into neo soul, soul Motown, and a jam band. I was just kind of no thanks. But I've definitely got much more of an open mind now.
You've seen Government Mule twice or just once?
Just one time.
That
was when we first got together.
We've seen String Cheese together.
We've seen String Cheese.
At Halloween.
I've seen
That's
Government
heavy.
Mule. I've seen #Yellowhammer Automobile. I've seen Brooks Hubbard quite a few times. He's a one-man jam band.
I know, right? Love you, Brooks.
Heady, bro.
We're gonna make him sit down for this sooner or later.
Dude.
Brooks, I'm coming for you.
That's
Man.
gonna
Love
be-
you, miss you.
I'm trying to think. I try to avoid it if at all possible.
Her that being said, the different styles that she got, that I got from her, and she's rubbed off on me, I've rubbed off on her. My taste in music is just like she alluded to, is directly from my parents. My dad's favorite band was the Grateful Dead. My mom's favorite band was the Eagles. So it's it was a lot of classic rock because my parents are of that era, but
And my parents really didn't listen to classic
They're
That's
rock.
basically Steely Dan, right?
what?
Grateful Dead and Eagles. Steely
That
Dan.
would be Steely Dan, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Oh,
that's-
that's just. Yeah.
There.
No, Steely Dan's fine, but Pink Floyd. I grew up getting into the first CDs I ever listened to, out on Boy Scout trips and stuff. When my parents finally let me see their CD collection, there was Eric Clapton's greatest hits, Steve Miller Band, Jethro Tull, Grateful Dead. I've said them a million times. Charlie Daniels Band, and those were really my foundation in rock and roll.
No.
And then my dad got me into Jimi Hendrix. And then, the older I got, my parents started opening up a little bit more. AC/DC was there at the beginning, real heavy. And then, the Allman Brothers are my favorite band, and they came. It's only been really in the past couple
I
of
would
years.
say
that
within the last 2 years, it was
It's something
he was
happened.
this is this band called the Allman Brothers, and I was that's a song from Top Gear, and then he never shut it off. Every day, Mountain Jam was playing, and I was
God is-
what's happening?
we had so many jokes about Mountain Jam's my favorite song ever, but it was really kind of weird. One day something just clicked, and I was the Allman Brothers that stuff is heavy, man. It's good. The music is there. The songs are there. But that was there. But before that, it was the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, which they're still any of those bands could be my favorite band any day of the week. But that was my rock foundation. And then Taylor bringing the Sharon Jones and the James Brown, playing in her and Mose and Isaac and Lee, Ryan, all these people.
Beyonce,
Yeah,
the Madonna. I brought that all into his You're Welcome.
Yeah, it's girl power. But
That's Spice Girls.
just all the same.
Keep up.
It's all the same. ain't rock and roll. But yeah, that's I've gotten a little bit varied since
He's
then.
definitely like, especially when we first got together, I was afraid to tell him like, this is the music I listen to. Like when he asked me like, well, what kind of music do you listen to? I purposely omitted, like, I was like, I'm not going to tell him Fleetwood Mac. Like, I'll just not tell him that.
Don't say that.
I was like, I like Elvis. And like, what are some safe options that I can tell him that I like? I said
like
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky, Stone Temple Pilots, and Elvis were the first bands
I
she
think
told
I
me she
said
liked.
Sharon
Wow.
Jones too.
I don't know.
I remember
Sharon
saying
Jones.
that really early on.
Remember Clutch? We both like Clutch.
Like, that's good. We
That's
found
good.
out that we had both been at a Clutch concert, like, at the same time when I was still in high school, just, like, before we ever knew each other, and I always thought that was kind of funny. Like, how it all comes around in a big circle.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
How long have we been going for?
84 minutes.
Nice.
So
A lot
what
more
are you,
content
fucking
than last
Sting?
time.
What's going on here?
Huh?
So what are you, Sting? What is this?
Sting, the wrestler or the singer?
Singer.
Singer? Oh, wrestler's better. Red face Sting. Better than white face Sting.
Oh, I need to get you together with Matt Mosley and some of my wrestling buddies.
You need to get me together with your wrestling buddies.
What?
Again.
I'm
Rest-
more of a
wrestling
wrestling fan than he is.
Oh,
My mom
man.
wouldn't let me watch wrestling growing up.
What?
Yeah, she's like, those girls are too much sex. She didn't like the divas. She didn't mind the guys beating the hell out of each other, but she didn't like the divas.
Wrestling is the devil.
She's like, I wouldn't let your daddy watch this. So I'd like, big surprise. So I would have it. I would be watching like Nickelodeon, but have wrestling on recall. Be like watching Raw. Who's bloop, bloop. Hear them
remember-
footsteps. Like, I'm watching I Love Lucy, Mom. I'm not watching wrestling.
I remember the first WrestleMania I ever saw, and like seeing Ric Flair walk out in that jacket, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta get one of those!" Like, where do I get me a jacket
Woo!
like that?
Woo!
And then I saw him in person like 2 years ago, and he's scary looking.
Yeah, didn't
It's
age
like
well.
his face went through a cheese grater a couple times.
Yeah, it's just all like, looks like a tanned hide that never made it off the carcass.
like true, definitely.
Unfortunately. Well, y'all are gonna have to come to the. We've got to do some kind of wrestling shenanigans. All my comedy friends, a couple of them in particular, are big wrestling fans.
I mean, it is the best soap opera for men.
There's a correlation there, isn't there?
for sure, for sure. I don't know what it is, but I'm willing to find out.
Entertainment.
I would totally sit down and talk about wrestling. I still keep up with it. I'm really into it.
I just remember
Comics talk
all
comics.
my friends had like wrestling stuff. They had the NWO shirts and the Sting backpacks.
Oh man, that's when I was getting out of it.
Couldn't have any of that
I was
stuff.
old school. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, man.
I met him. He's got the biggest hands I've ever seen. But
Really?
He's so nice.
Cool.
Really sweet guy.
I thought you were gonna say head.
No, no.
That explains a lot.
Kevin Nash was there last year. Was
Yes.
it Kevin Nash?
He
I didn't meet
was
him, but
the-
he walked by me. So Kevin Nash is a big son of a gun, like huge. And we were in line to meet Goku.
Mhm.
He actually signed that picture of Goku right there. Cool. But we were in line, and they were trying to come by. I was like, excuse me, and he bent down. There was the woman in front of me was about that tall, and he's like that tall. So he comes down and he goes, excuse me, and she turns around all scared. He goes, thank you, and just walks right by her.
We went to his little panel thing, and he was probably one of the funniest people I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, he was just like whip quick with all of his little quips and
This is at Pensacon, by the way,
Yeah.
if it wasn't mentioned.
We went to
already.
Pensacon. I'm a nerd, whatever.
I missed it. I'm sorry I didn't get to come be a nerd with you. Was it wonderful?
Next year.
I'm
it
going
was
to.
so much fun.
It was my first
For sure.
year going. I think
Was it?
I'm going to have to get tickets next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
we really
costume.
enjoyed it.
I don't even need
You want
ready
to-
to go.
The guys from did you ever watch the Mighty Boosh?
Nope.
Well, you should check it out because it's really funny. It's on
Okay.
Amazon. But they were there and they were really sweet. And I mean, everyone we met was just really nice. We met Prince Humperdinck from The Princess Diaries. He was super cool.
Mhm.
And then I got him to watch a scary movie.
Yep.
Got him to watch
Fright Night.
Fright Night. I was so excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, Pensacon and the Rickmobile. I missed the Rickmobile when it came through town.
Like Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
I didn't know the Rickmobile came through town.
Yeah. I was kind of bummed about that one. I recently got into Rick and Morty. But Pensacon was... Do they only do it once a year or twice a year?
They do it once a year, but I think that they have like other little things that they're affiliated with, but I can't ever remember what it's called. We always just go to Pensacon. It's like a great time of year. It's not hot, usually. Or it's not very hot, like it is now. And it's...
Her dad's as into it as she is, so they
yeah, my dad...
every year.
Like, I'm a nerd. Like, I like wrestling and comic books and books. And, like, we have all of these Batman, Superman things.
Those are all hers.
They're all mine, and they're all signed. And, like, that's the kind of stuff that we do together. We get to do, like, nerdy, fun stuff. And it's like a good, like, bonding thing.
I'm crashing that bonding experience because it was a good time.
No, it was a lot of fun. We had so much fun.
It's so wide. Like, it appeals to so many people. Like they make it that way, so you kind of... I'm not that big a nerd. Like, I guess, is that pop culture? Is it considered pop culture?
I mean, yeah, now.
Like, I'm not really...
It's not, like, underground.
Yeah, it's like Batman, Dragon Ball Z, and, like, random stuff. And there's not always someone like that there. Like, I went this year... Well, Spencer let me use this pass because the voice of Goku was there. And, like, Dragon Ball Z has been with me for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And he was really skeptical. Let me throw this out here. He was being like a punk about it, and I was like, first of all, it's fun. Like, it is great.
Well, it's like, all the panels and stuff. It's like Doctor Who. Like, I've never watched an episode. Well, I have watched an episode of Doctor Who, but, like, Doctor Who's not my thing. I'm not that big into anime, and that's what a lot of it, Harry Potter. Like, I love Harry Potter, but I'm not one of those, I'm not a huge fan. And it's like so much super fandom there, it kind of turned me off. I was like, well, I just wouldn't have a good time. But, I went and I had a really good time. So, you boys going next year.
I'll be there with you.
There we go.
Be there with you. All right, before we lose the tape, this has been a pleasure.
Yes,
and for the fastest turnaround on round 2, and the quickest setup to round 3, because now we got to cut you out and just do a politics show. Sound good?
Oh, that sounds really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, y'all have fun.
You'll have a lot of fun with me.
We'll see how many people we can bore to death.
Oh.
Because that's right up my alley.
Wait.
Let's just see how many people you can piss off.
Right up my alley.
See what the ratio is.
No, I'd just
I'm
rather,
sure.
like, talk about, like, a lot of, like, constitutional history and, like, tie that back into,
We
like,
was talking
modern
about history earlier. Y'all
politics.
have a good time.
We'll make that happen.
I've got this.
But if you ever want to talk about your favorite Led Zeppelin record, you can just come back here.
Well, we will get together most definitely after June 29th. We'll talk to some of the other people involved and maybe do something after the Allman Brothers or before the Allman Brothers show, because that's going to be a fucking good time.
It's
We should
really-
do something over in Mobile.
We
Like
got a
at
Big
the
Jam
break.
show coming up next month, too, at the Brickyard. So
Oh, yeah. Big Jam Space Drivers.
I don't have the date, actually.
Next month?
I do have
That's
my
right.
phone.
Big Jam Space Drivers. We know their website. We can make that happen.
Is it the 19th? It'll be the 19th.
Very cool. The 19th of July. That's a Saturday?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday. Good. That's
Turn up on a Thursday, everyone.
not the night of Stinger's comedy. Yeah, all right. Thanks for joining us. Bye, YouTube. Auf Wiedersehen.